Over the last 10 years, when talking with real estate agents, one of the most common questions I get in regards to searching for comparables is should you use price as one of your criteria? Now, there's arguments for and against it, but in this video, we're going to break down the times that you should and the times that you shouldn't use price as part of your search criteria when picking comparables and pricing properties. Hey, what's up? It's Jeff with Property Brain. And in this video, we're going to talk about whether or not it's a good idea to use price as a search criteria when searching for comp and ultimately pricing properties. Now, over the last 10 years or so, I've talked with hundreds of thousands of agents at appraisal inspections, teaching classes, having one-on-one conversations. And this is a question that I get asked a lot because there's reasons for and against it. And so in this video, we're going to break down a little bit more when you should or when you shouldn't use price as search criteria and why that's the case. So first, to start off, let's look at why you shouldn't use price as a search criteria. Now, the main reason for this is because when you're using price as search criteria, you're potentially going to miss properties that fall outside of that price range. Now, generally speaking, when appraisers conduct a search to find comparables that they're going to use in their appraisal report, they're not going to use price because they don't want the price to steer the analysis. So they're going to use other criteria such as square footage, lot size, location, bedroom or bathroom count, maybe even things like garage count or age, but they're generally not going to use price. Again, because they don't want to steer the valuation to only find comparables that fit within a certain bucket. So generally speaking, when you're completing a CMA, when you're pricing a property or picking comp, you want to follow the same idea. You generally don't want to use price as a way to search for comparables. Now, the argument that I hear a lot of times from agents is when you're setting up a search, for homes for a client, you're always going to use price, right? You wouldn't just go set up a search for a client who says that they want to be between 400 and 450,000 and just give them everything from 200 grand to 1.5 million, because most of those properties wouldn't be considered comparable. However, generally speaking, when you're setting up a search for a client to look for homes to buy, you're putting in less criteria in regards to square footage, bedroom and bathroom count, garage count, because you're opening up options for them to see what they potentially want. But when we're looking for comparables for a specific property to do a CMA or to do a valuation analysis, to be able to come up with a price, whether it's for a listing or to make an offer, we're wanting to look at comparable and determine what those comparables say about the value of a property. And so generally speaking, it is a lot better to use criteria such as the square footage and the garage count and all the other features I've mentioned to narrow down your pool of potential properties without using price. Again, if you're using price and you're using a small range, let's say your home is selling for $500,000 and you use the range from $490,000 to $510,000, there's a very high likelihood that you'd miss comparables on both ends of the spectrum that could potentially sway actual outcome of that CMA or that valuation analysis. And so in that case, you wouldn't want to do that. Now, if you're using a $50,000 or $100,000 price range, there's a decent chance that you're not going to miss comparables if you've applied a lot of other search criteria to make sure you're getting similar homes. But in that case, the argument would be that you don't even need the price criteria if you've already narrowed it down with all the other criteria that you can use. So hopefully that gives you a good idea that 90% of the time, you don't want to use price as a search criteria, all the other options available to you. However, there are times where using price might make sense. So when should you use price as part of your search criteria? The most important time you want to use price as search criteria when looking for comparable is when there are results that are extreme outliers. So for example, let's say you're looking for properties between 2,000 and 3,000 square feet that have a 2 to 3 car garage that are within a specific area of town that were built between 2015 and 2024. And your range of properties ranges from 400,000 to 1.6 million. But most of those properties are contained between 400,000 and 550,000. But you have a handful of outliers that are just unique properties that are still falling into this other search criteria. In that case, you would want to use an upper limit price to be able to exclude those properties from your analysis. Now, you could either do that, or you could ultimately pick those comparable and then ignore all of those outliers. But if you're using a method to statistically calculate adjustments that are needed, to look at time of sale adjustments, to be able to figure out what's happening in the market, you would want to exclude those outlier properties when you do the comp search so that they're not impacting the analysis. In this scenario, you might want to do something like use a top of the end price of 700,000 to make sure that you're still getting all of the properties that are within the range of your subject property and the applicable comparable, but excluding those things that are extreme outliers. The same could be true on the low end. Perhaps maybe all of your comparables or majority of your comparables are falling between 7 and 900,000, but you have some that are coming up that are between 4 to 5 or 600,000 that just aren't at all similar. In that case, you would either want to tighten your other search criteria to make sure you get rid of those, or if you can't because they are similar square footage in a similar area and nothing else that you can apply in the search criteria would exclude them, you might want to put a bottom end price. So in both of these scenarios, you're actually going to use price not as a way to identify comparables, but specifically to help you avoid outliers that are not true comparables. Now, even appraisers, when they're doing a comp search, would do this at times. Like I said, they don't want to use a price to steer the analysis, but what they don't want is they also don't want the analysis to be skewed because they have some outliers or data that is not actually consistent with the subject property and the comparables that are considered quality comparables. So hopefully this video has given you some good insight into when you should and when you shouldn't use price as search criteria. If you have any additional questions about comp searches, I encourage you to check out our blog or other videos we've created, or reach out to us, shoot us a DM, leave a message here, or send us an email, and we'd love to help you out however we can. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you found some of this information helpful. If you did, I'd love it if you'd hit the like button, and while you're at it, go ahead and follow us on some of your favorite social media channels to make sure that you can connect with us, where we can answer questions and just get to know you a little bit. Thanks again for watching the video, and we'll see you in the next one.